Hello and welcome to Islamic Awakening, a program that delves deeply into the issues affecting both Islam and Muslims today. I'm your host, Ahmed Hanif. God says in the Holy Quran that fasting is prescribed for Muslims as it was for religious communities before. But we see that in modern Western society, the ritual of fasting has all been but forgotten. The Muslim holy month of fasting is a time when faith is revived and Muslims strengthen and increase their commitment and their practice of their faith. But could it do more? Could it have a role as an example to others, a means of overcoming problems in our community, or a means to engage in the wider non-Muslim community in our customs? Today, I'm asking Professor Tariq Ramadan these questions and more about the holy month of Ramadan. And once again, welcome to the show. Now, why, when we see, for example, in many multicultural environments like Britain, or let's say many urban environments in the Western world, in the US, Canada, and so forth, we see that Ramadan is becoming more and more popular. Eid is, everybody gives Eid messages. You know, the President of the United States gives an Eid message. The Prime Minister of England gives an Eid message, and so forth and so on. How possible it is for us to use this acceptance, this initial acceptance, as a means of encouraging or including others in the festivities or the spirit of Ramadan?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think that if we come to what you are saying is quite right. The perception of Ramadan in the West is very positive. And this is where people have the sense of something is happening which is good for the Muslims and has a good perception. We, as Muslims, we have to be very cautious. Because what is happening today, if we carry on this, is to see, because we know that the dominant culture is always using anything from all the other cultures to make it something that could be used within the market. They are making money out of it. And we should never accept for ourselves, as well as within any society, be it here in the West or in Muslim majority countries, to make it something which is very close to what Christmas has become, a cultural festival where you are spending money, and there is a pretext for you to give money or to buy. So it's entering within the consumerist market and philosophy. And look at what is happening today. We have people during Ramadan, they eat much more than during the rest of the months. We have people just putting the money and don't get the spirit of it. So the first thing, if we want to provide a good example, it's for us to come back to the essence of Ramadan, which is a spiritual month. كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ, meaning it has been prescribed to you as it was for the people, but for what? To come back to the essence, to come back to God, to come back to yourself, and to check the way you eat and the way you drink and the way you behave. So for us, this is why we have to come back. We should not use Ramadan to be accepted. We should use Ramadan to teach.
But isn't this, I mean, you mentioned people gaining weight in Ramadan, eating more than they would in the past. Is this a result of the commercialization of Ramadan, especially when this happens in Muslim countries? Or is it a result of people just simply eating to excess when they are invited to iftar?
Both. It has to do with something which is a lack of understanding in what Ramadan means. If you are only obsessed with the rules, you stop eating and drinking during the day and you double the quantity of what you are eating during the night. That's wrong. That's wrong. This is not following in the footsteps of the Prophet ﷺ. That's not right. It's you stop, because Ramadan is not only during the day. During the night, the angels, the spirit of Ramadan, Rahmatul Ramadan, which is the mercy of Ramadan, is for 1 month. It's not, I do it during the day and I forget everything about it during the night, which is today in the West something which is quite worrying. And you have the nights of Ramadan. You have music, you have entertainment, you have even alcohol in the West. If you go to the Muslim majority country, you can see that during the night, the people don't get it. Too many people don't get what it means to fast during the day. Because this is where we have to, we don't go to Taraweeh to pray for 1 or 2 hours even, and then you forget everything, you go back home, you eat too much, you watch TV, and you forget about the meaning. So we have to recapture the very essence of this teaching in Muslim majority countries and in the West, not to accept to be colonized or integrated into a dominant culture that is distorting the very essence. And this is why I'm saying that Ramadan is the most powerful month of resistance. And at the same time, we know that many Muslims don't even pray during the year. 10, 15 to 20% of the Muslims are praying daily. But during Ramadan, 70 to 80% of people are fasting. So it might be that even for ourselves, coming back to the very essence of Ramadan, which is come close to God and serve humanity, could help us also to understand the very essence of Islam and to become an example and to be witnesses for the people. And this is where we need to be involved in our teachings of the fundamentals, the principles, in order afterwards to be an added value within the Western societies, is what Ramadan means and in which way we have to deal with it, because it has a very powerful message. It's very much a call towards humanity. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ, I was sent to achieve, to fulfill the good character, meaning لِأُتَمِّمَ, things were there before me, which is echoing what we have in the verse, that fasting was there before. There is no spiritual life without fasting. You can find this in Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. All the spiritualities, all the great spiritualities are telling you, if you want to free your soul and your mind, fast with your body. And this is the way you are resisting consumerist societies. So we have to come back to this and to ask ourselves in which way we as Muslims, we are nurturing this from within and then teaching the people around us the very essence of take care of yourself.
You just took the word out of my mouth, right? Teaching those among us, because I was going to ask you, I mean, we be seeing people moving away from Ramadan, masses of people, in the sense that, they'll fast in the day and they would indulge at night and so forth, right? And we know that if we are not sincere to Ramadan, if we don't get the essence of Ramadan, then we would not be a good example to other people to revive the tradition of fasting among them. How do we regain this essence? First of all, what are the things that are leading us to go away from Ramadan, and what do we need to come back to it?
Yes, that's the critical question of our time. I'm used to say that we Muslims are facing or indulging into a state of crisis. And in fact, with this obsession that we need to respect the rules and forget about the meaning, that's not going to work. When we have to pray, it is said, وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِ. This is what Allah said to Moses when he came. أَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِ. Pray in order to remember me. We don't pray only as, in an automatic way, just, okay, I have to pray 5 times a day. I need to reconcile praying with the meaning of praying. It's to remember Him. We need to reconcile the rules with the meaning, which is the legal aspect of Islam and the ethical teaching of Islam. And the ethical teaching of Islam, if you fast, what you are going to do is to come back to yourself. It's a journey, fasting. Fasting is remove from your body the human characteristic and come close to God, because He doesn't drink, He doesn't eat. And He's going to elevate your spirit and your soul. We have to come with this teaching and to stop, tell the people, you know what, it's just about not drinking and not eating, because even the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, some among you, the only thing that they are going to get out of Ramadan is preventing themselves from eating and drinking, but they are not going to get the spiritual power of changing things. So we need to come to this, and we need to tell our brothers and sisters in all the societies, because you have people going to hospital during the night because they eat too much. We know about Gulf states, we know about some of the countries. That's not right. There is something wrong in our way of dealing with this. And in the West we have to do the same. We have to be very cautious not to culturalize this. Now we come with the deep teaching, and then you come and say, okay,
what has caused this, though? What has caused this deviation, this superficiality in the practice of Ramadan?
The superficiality is very much about this. If you reduce your religion to rules and not to meaning and goals, you forget the way. And this is why Sharia has to do with the way towards faithfulness to God. It's a way. You need to know where you are heading. And by getting the meaning of your way, you keep the rules in the light of the meaning, not obsessed with the rules. Now we have people, and the Salafi, for example, the literalist in the Sunni tradition say, you have to do this is halal, this is haram, and we don't get the meaning. We are not teaching the people to free themselves. We are imposing rules to imprison people.
Does this indicate some kind of limitation or crisis in the seminaries, in the Muslim seminaries? Because the people who should be teaching meaning, are the ulama, are the religious authorities among us.
Very much so.
Huh?
Yes.
So if we see people en masse practicing a superficial aspect of their religion, then it probably points to the fact that our seminaries are not as deep as they should be.
That's exactly the point. And we have our institutions are not providing us with the real message, and very often we have people who are following some states, and the states, they don't want us to deal with meaning. They want us to forget about the meanings. They want us to deal with formalities. This is where, because this is why, okay, we are respecting Islam. You are respecting the formalities. You are respecting the rules or the appearances, or it looks like Islamic, and what is behind is not. So we have to come with the resistance of meaning when we have the superficiality of rules. It doesn't mean that we don't have to respect rules.
Right.
The rules are rules, and halal, halal, or haram, haram. Right is right, and wrong is wrong, and the limits are clear. Now we have to do this. And what we have to do in the West is to reconcile, and this is where we see some of our brothers and sisters, it might be paradoxically, that the coming back of the very meaning of fasting will come back from the periphery, from the West. Why? Because you and me, when we live in Britain or in the States or in Canada or in Australia, in consumerist society, we know how much we are alienated by, this sense of you are what you have. Ramadan is telling you, you are what you are. You are who you are. You are the way you deal with your body, the way you deal with your heart, the way you deal with. You are even in the way you eat. You are even in what you eat. And if you are forgetfulness about the very meaning of eating, you are losing your humanity.
Right.
So we have to come back to this. And this is where the months of Ramadan, it's connected to the Quran. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. This is the power of this message that is coming to us and say, okay, now stand up. Do what you have to do as human beings. And what you have to do is first to resist your own temptation to come close to God. And remember that the best human being among you, the best believers among you, the more beloved, the more loved by God is the one who is serving humanity. So Ramadan in the West is the powerful message that we are here to resist this consumerist society telling us you are in what you have, to come to tell us you are the way you serve, the way you serve humanity. Because we have to come close to the poor people. And in Islam, poor people are not expecting from us only charity. It's just think about me when you feel that something should be done. No. It's my right. Haqqun ma'loom, meaning this is my right. My right to dignity is for you to know that in your money there are rights that I have. And Ramadan is this powerful message telling us, be careful. One day the poor will ask. The West should also listen to this message. And this is why we have to come back to it.
So you're talking about a message. You're talking about basically on the individual level to reconnect with the spirit of Ramadan and so on. Now imagine somebody who is reconnected on this particular level, somebody who wants to find the meaning out of Ramadan, somebody who wants to find his social responsibility in Ramadan. How can we use these tendencies, these realizations in terms of influencing our wider society, the non-Muslim society? Because non-Muslims tend to admire Ramadan, I think.
True.
You know what I mean? It goes back to their own fitrah.
Yes, exactly.
You know, they admire it. They find it almost heroic sometimes.
But it's just amazing that you have in some schools in the West, non-Muslims say, oh, it's so good that I want to fast with you.
Yes.
And we have teachers coming to the Muslims say, what is happening here?
Yes.
Why are you fasting? Yes, they're fasting because they feel that there is something, that there is meaning here, that they feel that there is meaning. Oh, I like it. I like the effort that you are taking just to prevent yourself from eating and fasting. There is a meaning here. So the meaning is that, and as you said, that's a very important point. It's coming from al-fitrah, that Muslims should understand that, it is said in the Quran, even the Prophet ﷺ is asked to say in the Quran, قُلْ مَا كُنْتُ بِدْعًا مِنَ الرُّسُلِ. I'm not coming with a new message. I'm not an innovator. I'm just reminding you of things that are in you that were brought by my predecessors, by the previous messengers. So we need to understand this. And what we have to do is to do two things. Is first to nurture this at the individual level, as you said. But it has to be a collective. We need a movement during Ramadan. And this new movement during Ramadan within our societies is where we come with this powerful message, and then we translate this into actions. How? This is, for example, to be able to connect with the surrounding. When it is said in the Quran, in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, you are not going to complete your faith if you don't like for your neighbor what you like for yourself. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لجاره ما يحبه لنفسه. What does it mean? It means that you need to look after your neighbor. And your neighbor, it's not said in the hadith, Muslims.
Absolutely.
Anybody. So you have to be this added value of consciousness, solidarity. But not solidarity out only of charity, solidarity out of rights. That a poor cannot be mistreated within a society. Why? Because قَدْ يُؤَدِّي إِلَى الْكُفْرِ, that if poverty is pushing people to forget about God, we have this responsibility. And poverty is against your karama, which your dignity. So as Muslims in the West, we should be involved, we should connect. In fact, it's the other way around. We think that during Ramadan we come back to ourselves and forget the world. We come back to ourselves to fast, but we open up towards the world to share. So come close to yourself to elevate, to purify, and share, to be, this is the vicious circle. It's ما وقع في القلب وصدقه العمل. This is faith, what is in your heart, and it will be seen out of your actions. And I would say to any Muslim and any Muslim organizations, make your face visible through the service to humanity, not through your words. I'm a Muslim, proud to be a Muslim. That's not going to change
my involvement in the society.
So during Ramadan, this is a powerful where you can see that even young students and young pupils in schools, they have this very powerful impact in their fellow students by just fasting and say, no, I don't drink. No, I don't do this. That's not the time to do it. I say, wow. There is something great here. So this is where we have to do the job. We have to understand this. But as we said before, it starts with ourselves, that we need to get it right and stop being obsessed with, tell me where is the halal meat. No, that's not going to work like that.
Right. Because it's very interesting because this admiration that they have, is something that can be used to bring them into closer proximity to the Muslim community. And I mean, for example, I wonder how many non-Muslims do we invite to our collective iftars, for example? You know, because during the iftar time, especially in mosques and Islamic centers and so forth, you have very good speeches and so forth. You know, people are reconnecting with their spiritual background and so on. But you don't really find this. Yeah. Even on the local level, even at home, for example, inviting your neighbor to your iftar.
Yes, you're right. I think it's becoming more and more something that people are trying to do at the local level. And I think that's good. That we see now families, we see institutions, mosques inviting the people. Sometimes the poor people in the neighborhood just come and share with us. It's good. We have some Salafi, we have some literacy. No, this is only for Muslims.
Right.
They don't get the message, but we have to open up, and we have to do, for example, during and especially for example, when it's in winter in some societies, for example, when we had it in winters just to help the people who are homeless and just to show that we care about people, because we understand that we are here to serve humanity. It's just not only for Muslims and not for others. So there is a teaching process, and sometimes it's also, once again, something that we don't think about it. The more you are dealing with people who are not from your religious community, they send you back a message when you have to improve even yourself. And this is also something which is very important. Sometimes it's out of interaction that you are nurturing your own sincerity.
Right.
Because you know that you are. So we are not here to please, but we are here to be sincere. And in fact, the more we are sincere, the more we are going to please. The more we are going to be perceived as, oh yes, that's the point. So we have to be involved.
There's a feedback type of a process.
Exactly.
Our interaction helps to perfect our own selves, which tends to have a more positive impact upon the people we are.
Exactly, and this is what we have in Surah Al-Hujurat when it is وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. It's to know each other. It's a two-way process.
Right.
So you have to give, but when you give, you know that you have to be sincere on what you are trying to give. So it's very important to come close to yourself when you fast and serve the people. Open up, give to the people.
Thank you very much. I think basically we're out of time. But I think there are a couple of important things that we have learned here today. One of them is that Ramadan, the essence of Ramadan, the true spirit of Ramadan, is something that the individual needs to encourage in order to be effective as a transmitter of the beauty of Ramadan to our wider society. I'd like to thank Professor Tariq Ramadan for being on the show, and of course to all of you at home for watching. And until next time, and another edition of Islamic Awakening, it's a goodbye from me and the whole team.